Shalom everybody. In today's video, we will be revealing the secret of the Illimitable One, as well as the secret of all of the ministers and idols over the nations. It is assumed that you have seen the first video entitled The True Worshippers of Samael, which reveals those who read the Torah literally are in truth servants of Samael. With that being said, let us begin. Let us first address the nature of the ministers over the nations and their idols. It is written in Emor, book 16 of the Zohar, whoever curses his Elohim. Rebbe Abba said, whoever curses his Elohim shall bear his sin. Come and see, when Israel lived in Egypt, they were familiar with the ministers of the world appointed over the other nations. Each had his own idol. Once they connected to the bond of faith, and the Holy One, blessed be He, drew them towards His service, they left them and drew near the supernal holy faith. Hence it is written, whoever curses his Elohim, namely one of the 70 ministers, even though it is idolatry, since I appointed them as ministers to guide the world. Whoever curses and desecrates them shall bear his sin. Surely, for by my power they exist and guide the people in the world. So those servants of Samael, who, rendering all things under literal interpretations, whose hands are filled with blood, destroyers of the self, destroyers of their brothers and sisters, and ultimately destroyers of the world, in their immense ignorance and error, produce great evil. They, those servants of Samael who render all things literal, despise and hate all of those idols, and speak great ill of them, and they curse them. And in their own stupidity and foolishness, only seek to curse their own God's handiwork. Because those idols exist to assist the world and the nations, and were created by and through the Holy One, blessed be He, by which they exist. To speak ill of those idols, which are those ministers, is to speak ill of the Holy One, blessed be He Himself. It continues, he that blasphemes the name of Hashem shall surely be put to death. It is not written that he shall bear his sin as in relation to those 70 ministers, but he shall surely be put to death. He shall be put to death in this world and surely die in the world to come. As for those 70 ministers, it is written, and he shall bear his sin, because he behaves contemptuously towards my handiwork, towards my servant that I appoint, which is forbidden, but he is not punishable by death for that. Instead, they anguish and continue onward in great ignorance and error. And because of their ignorance, which produced error, which produced evil, they usher evil into the world, despising and hating all of God's creations, looking at each of the nations as if they are somehow inferior, viewing each one of their religions and each one of their ministers as an abomination, as if God did not create all of those idols, as if God did not create Zeus or Minerva or Athena or Krishna or Vishnu or any of the deities that have been appointed by the Holy One, blessed be He, to guide and to rule and to govern over the people and to guide them in this world. Rabbi Shimon was walking along the way together with Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Abba, Rav Chaya, Rav Yossi, and Rav Yehuda. They reached a furrow full of water. Rav Yossi walked through the water fully clothed. He said, "The furrows in water channels made, which people make in their fields for the water to flow. I wish they did not exist." Rabbi Shimon said to him, "You are forbidden to say so. It serves people, and one must not treat with contempt whatever serves the Holy One, blessed be He, even if it is harmful. This is more so if the actions are true, like those channels in the field that exist according to the laws of celestial providence, that is, the actions have a root above." He opened and said, "And Elohim saw everything that He made, and behold, it was very good." And Elohim saw everything that He had made was said in general, including even snakes, scorpions, and mosquitoes. Even those that seem to harm the world, it is written of them all. And behold, it was very good. They all serve the world and guide the world, though people do not know. And so we see how those who cleave to the literal interpretations of the Torah, those servants of Samael, those bringer of death and bloodshed, those murderers of both people and animals, who rejoice in hatred, bigotry, and separation, divide and curse the very God they claim to serve, as if all of those idols were not appointed by the Holy One, blessed be He, the very handiwork of His hand, after the divine pattern from the hand of the unity. And they who call Him by the name worship a lower, inferior created thing, of which it is said, "We have learned that from the side of Ima Klippa come out, which examine laws and take hold of the legislations of Gevurah, namely the left column, which is judgment, and overpowers mercy, as it is written, gathered together against," literally above Hashem, truly above Hashem, namely Bina, which is above Zerainpin, called Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. They worship principally Zerainpin, which is called Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. This is the same level as the written Torah. And of this thing it's written, "I am not a man that I should change my mind." And yet it is written, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke is a man of war. And similarly here, and Hashem relented of his evil. So this lower inferior thing certainly does change its mind. Though it says as well in Book 10 Yithro, Rabbi Shimon said, "Happy is the portion of the righteous who is worthy of this. As it is written, then shall you delight yourself in," literally above Hashem. It is not written in Hashem, but above Hashem, namely in the place from which the upper and lower worlds derive, and from which they yearn, of which it is written, "From where, Ain, comes my help." Ain, which is the highest level, referring to the nothing, referring to the sphere of Keter, which is called nothingness or Ain. And it is also written, "And came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him," namely Keter, which is called the Ancient of Days. The desire and the delight of the righteous is to look at the splendor whence all lights issue and all celestial crowns, which are the spheros, are drawn. And they have no understanding of Ain. And so the Tanya uses the term Ein Sof Berehu. And they, those wicked ones, who worship the lower inferior thing, the thing that changes its mind, the thing that is a man of war, the thing that made all of these decrees. It says of that thing, section 32 of Vayikra, "The Holy One, blessed be He, decrees a sentence, and the righteous man nullifies it." There was not a decree that was pronounced above over the world that Rabbi Shimon did not nullify. This is the meaning of "He that rules over men." Namely the verse, "The Rock of Israel spoke to me, he that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of Elohim." The Holy One, blessed be He, rules over men. Who, as it were, rules over the Holy One, blessed be He? The righteous man rules. For the Holy One, blessed be He, decrees and He nullifies. Meaning that lower, inferior thing makes decrees, and the sages nullify those decrees. They nullify all of that hatred, sacrifice, bloodthirsty killing, bigotry, separation, viciousness, and causes Zerainpin to lift up his eyes and behold, who created these, so that he will relent of his evil. And so Pinchas, in explanations of the holy name, reveals, in them all the name of Yud-Keh Vav-Keh, but neither names nor letters must be tripled for the master of all, for he is called by all the names and has no one specific name. Likewise with the name Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, on which all existences depend, and he and all existences testify about the master of the universe that he pre-existed all existences. For Yod-Keh Vav-Keh is a lower thing. That he, Ein Sof Baruch Hu, is within every existence, and that he will be after all existences. And this is the secret that beings testify about him, that he was, is, and will be. The name El testifies about the master of all, that no name, Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, grade, and certainly none of the other creatures has any ability apart from him. Likewise, every Yod-Heh Vav-Heh and every name testify about him. For when he was alone before he created the world, why did he need to be called by these names or by any other appellatives, such as Merciful One, Gracious One, Long-Suffering, Judge, Mighty, Strong? There are many such names that are so coined after all the worlds and the creatures in them in order to show that he is ruler over them. And so it says in the Gates of Light, they ask the question, Hayesh, is there Yud-Keh Vav-Keh in our midst, or is there Ein? And also it is written, you will find wisdom in Ein, and a song of ascent. As I lift my eyes to the mountains, from Ein will come my help. From Ein comes my help, and my help comes from that which is with Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, from that which is with Yod-Heh Vav-Heh. And he was there with Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, Exodus 34:28. So we find Exodus 17:7, Job 28:12, Exodus 34:28, Psalms 121:1, all hinting to this quality. He goes on to state, and they will think that the one is equivalent to the other and not see that there are many barriers between them, but we have no space to explain this now. And so, those who took the literal interpretations, who worshiped the lower thing instead of the true thing, stated for themselves, and quote, and there is none beside him, but mamash, indeed, Ein is beside him. And they quote Yeshayahu, which states, I am the Lord, and there is no other God. However, this isn't a question, it is a statement. Indeed, Ein is there. Ein is the other God. Ein is the true deity. This is exactly why all things are within Ein. An example, the Ein Sof, the endless, the illimitable one. And those who took all of those literal things through Peshat, which is serufed into Tepesh, meaning a fool, in error and great ignorance, brought forth all types of evil, bondages, hatred, division. And it is precisely from Ein is it rectified. For when the endless withdrew itself, it garbed itself in light. The value of light is 207, the same as Ein Sof, the endless. That is to say that the light was the garment of the endless. And this is Et Haor, the 22 letters, an example, Aleph to Tav, the light, Et Haor. Thus this light was the 22 letters. so that the endless garbed itself in the letters, that it may be made known to us. And it is precisely through these letters we obtain world peace. Just the mother letters alone should suffice, but how many more beautiful secrets are there? And if you would like to see more of these secrets, comment down below and I will make further videos. Aleph, Mem, and Shin. Aleph from Avir, air, Shin from Esh, fire, and Mem from Mayim, water, and Adamah, Mem Sofit, from earth. The principle Aleph separates Mem from Shin. It is in such a time as this that such light has risen in the world. It is time to bring forth world peace and to reveal the infinite in the garment of God, Tikkun Haolam. The infinite clothed itself in information. This information is called the Holy Tongue. As with all languages, it is a composition of letters, and so by means of these letters, we may behold a garment, and with it behold infinity. We will begin with the mother letters. The first key, Aleph, separates Mem from Shin. The air separates the light from liquids and solids. Aleph separates Mem from Shin. Carefully take a moment to view this key carefully. May we bring forth world peace. May we end hatred. May we end division. May we be united. Become aware of our environment. Land and sea, Mem and Mem Sofit, separated from the stars, Shin, above, by the atmosphere, Aleph. Go outside and experience the presence of the endless. Become consciously aware of the divine permeating existence. Stand on the land and the sea, breathe in the air, and look up to the light. Take one day out of the week, and on that day, take 10 minutes to sit down and become consciously aware of the environment. Experience the divine and allow its embrace. Become aware of yourself. Look in the mirror and see your eyes that see the light, Shin, is separated from your mouth, taking in liquids and solids, Mem and Mem Sofit, by your nose that breathes the air, Aleph. See it in yourself. Take another day out of the week and focus on becoming consciously aware of the endless in yourself. Now, see it in those around you. Recognize the endless within you and recognize it surrounding you. Let us continue. Your body. The head that moves the body via light, Shin, signals from the brain, are separated from the stomach, processing liquids and solids, Mem and Mem Sofit, by the lungs that breathe the air, Aleph. Take another day of the week and for 10 minutes, consciously recognize with awareness the endless in your body, and then apply this and notice the endless in those around you. Let us continue into deeper states of Yirah, awe. Notice the animals' eyes that see the light, Shin, are separated from their mouth, taking liquids and solids, Mem and Mem Sofit, by their nose that breathes the air, Aleph. Notice their head, which utilizes the light, Shin, separated from their stomach, processing liquids and solids, Mem and Mem Sofit, by their lungs, breathing the air, Aleph. Take a day of the week, 10 minutes, and recognize this in the animals. Become aware of this principle. The plants. Each plant receives its color from the light, Shin, separated from its roots in the earth, drawing water, Mem and Mem Sofit, by its leaves, converting atmospheric substance, Aleph. Take another day of the week in 10 minutes. Become aware of the endless in the plants around you. Become consciously aware of it. Beyond time. If we go back in time, millions of years ago, we find the same principles applied to in the environment, forms, plants, and building blocks of the time period. Both the face and the body is clearly demonstrated. Become aware of the endless as it is beyond the aspects of time. It permeated creation long before existence and will be here long after we are no longer. There is nothing we can do to affect the endless, as it is above us. All we can do is receive from the glory of its light. Allow yourself to keep the endless before you. Become aware, awake, O dreamer. Beyond space, every planet, a body of liquids and solids, Mem and Mem Sofit, separated from a centralized star, Shin, by space, Aleph. This extends and is self-evident throughout over 100 billion galaxies. Take a day out of the week and apply 10 minutes to become consciously aware of this concept. View the limitlessness of the endless. Enter the state of Yirah, awe. Become aware of its presence. And if in the future alien life forms reveal themselves, they are too created from the same principle, this being Aleph separates Mem from Shin, and there truly is no division in the endless. Thus, the same truths that reflect order in this world reflect order in all worlds. And the reason is that the dimension itself is constructed in a fractal way based on these principles, as will be further demonstrated. All cultures reflect the order of these principles, as all descriptions of a deity in which a physical representation exists is a reflection of this order, and by default is a reflection of, and thus not, the source of this order. As a result of this, all things are created under its order, and that nothing in existence is outside of that order. This same order divided our seasons, space, time, creature, man, environment, and more. Truly the endless is one, and it was stated of this, that the sages stated, in him is no division. All is under the same command of the creator of all things, whether a demon or an angel, all is a reflection of this order, and one should not fear death if they behold the glory of their master. Behold, the heavens are subjugated, every dream, every heaven, every hell, every purgatory, every reality. And so it is fulfilled. By the word of his mouth, the heavens and the earth were created. Behold the illimitable. See its embrace. View it in the animals. View it in the environment, in the plants. How would we treat each other, and where would racism be? How would we treat the animals? Would we seek to still murder them, to kill them, to have blood on our hands? Would we feel like we were alone? Behold, our very dreams are founded by the exact same light. What is this light that has authority over angels and demons? That the very heavens themselves should be subjugated. That every demon, every hell, every heaven, and every angel, all defined by the same principle. Aleph separates Mem from Shin. And behold, the true glory of the endless, the illimitable one, which unites all things. And thus it is time for us to end hatred and truly bring forth world peace.